welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. People keep asking when am I going to get to the nostalgic part. I have things in the pipeline, so stay tuned. But this is again another piece for the Get Fit With Me series for yoga. And today the yoga routine we're going to be doing is, again, cheap plug, Yoga with Adriene. Check her out. It's going to be continuing of that series, and it's called Gaze. And this one seems like, from the picture, because I don't really know. I never know. I just do it and then I find out, oh, it's chilled. It seems like it's going to be definitely a little bit more of a relaxation type deal, but I guess we'll find out. And anyway, I hope you enjoy the content, and we're going to get to it. Look who has entered the chat at the beginning of the yoga practice. Hey, Zero. We are officially doing cat yoga now. If you haven't noticed yet, we are starting in the meditation pose, and we are actually meditating for a little bit, working on the breathing. From the cross-legged pose or meditation pose, whichever way you like to address it, we are now transitioning over to all fours, or also known as tabletop position. From the tabletop position, we are now doing cat-cow. From the cat-cow, we are back to tabletop. And from tabletop, we are now hovering, and I believe it was for like 10 seconds we were hovering. We're now back to the tabletop pose, and from a tabletop pose, we're now working on more of the core work, where you have your, with both sides we alternate, where one arm is out on one side while your leg is out on the other side, and then we're alternating sides on that, but again, working on the core. After getting both sides of that little mini core crunch, I'm not exactly sure what the name of that is. We now have transitioned to a child pose, kind of a resting pose in between. After child's pose, we're now moving to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, we bend both knees and we're gonna transition to the front of the mat. As you can tell, I'm gonna have a little bit more of a challenge from doing that, but yeah, it is what it is. From the downward forward bend, we are now instructed to put our hands on both our sides and slowly rise to mountain pose. From mountain pose, we are instructed to just really focus on gazing. And a lot of this is that. So even though all the positions look easy, because the focus is on gazing is actually a lot more challenging than it looks. Next, what we're doing is going on our tippy toes. And for me, this is probably a lot more challenging than it would be maybe for most people because of, well, the injury. So, but it does feel good to do this. A little bit of that toe work that we just did, we're now putting our hands behind our head and like rotating clockwise, and then I believe we're also going to rotate counterclockwise as well. Once we do that on both sides, we are now transitioning to a wide-legged stance, and also kind of known as a star pose. Now we're getting to the part where it was a little bit more challenging. We're doing, I believe, like 3 reps of kind of a goddess pose where we're doing like basically squats, and the toe work that we did earlier is going to come to play. Once we finish up with the toe work and all the squats, we're gonna go more or less back to like a star pose. From the star pose, we kind of transition to a steeple pose, and from that, we transition to warrior two. From the warrior two on the first side, we are going to go back to that wide-legged stance and back to that squat toe work that we were doing. And then we, of course, will do the warrior two on the opposite side as well. We've completed the warrior two on the opposite side, and now we're back to that wide-legged stance again. And my legs are a little bit on fire at this point. I forgot to mention, and if you saw the previous video, you may have noticed that the previous day is coming into play today as well, where we're doing some of the eagle arms while we're doing the squat position or goddess pose. From the squat pose, we go back to the star pose and also kind of a steeple position as well. From there, once we have the prayer hands, we are now heel toeing back to more of a mountain pose. After being in standing meditation pose, we now are transitioning to volcano pose and down to standard forward bend. with hands on hips. Next, we're going to root to rise again. And then we're going to stretch it out to volcano pose. And from there, hands to prayer position. That was the closing of the practice. Namaste. Hi, so that concludes our gaze practice for today. Actually with this one, I was pleasantly surprised. From the thumbnail, it looked like it was going to be easier than what it was, but what she wanted us to do, why it was called gaze, actually she wanted you to go by her voice only, and just use your eye movements to do the movements of yoga, which I feel like a lot of times, especially if you're someone who's a little bit more on the athletic side, when you do yoga, you're like almost somewhat willing it. And with gaze and you being more intentional by where you're looking when you're doing certain poses, it actually makes it more challenging. So it was actually a lot more challenging of a practice this time around, and I did not mind it. Also, you got 2 cameos this time. We finally got an appearance from Zero, my other cat. Yeah, he wanted to join the chat, apparently. I will, at some point in time, give you an official introduction to my other cat. And those are the only cats I have. I have 2. And then Whisper could not be outdone. As soon as she saw that Zero was there, I was like, oh no, this is my time. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the content. And please, and I'm sorry I'm swaying. It's just a habit of mine. But anyway, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next time. Bye.